It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Getting straight into our top story for today, Governor Whitmer delivered her 7th State of the State address on Wednesday, February 26, 2025. During her 2025 State of the State address, Governor Whitmer discussed many topics, including bipartisan collaboration, housing investments, cell phone and vape regulations, job creation, economic growth, infrastructure, and so much more. So to help us break some of that down and kind of break it down as to why does it matter to us in our local community, join us on the Splash, Associate Professor from the Political Science Department at Oakland University, Nicole Matthew. Thank you for being here, Professor.
You bet.
So overall, let's just get into the big picture. There was a lot that was said yesterday during the State of the State address. Just give us your overall reactions to the entire thing first.
Well, I think it was a concerted effort by Governor Whitmer to extend an olive branch to the other party that is now in control of the Michigan State House. There's a lot of emphasis on bipartisanship, and I think she set the expectations for this coming year to be a lot lower, focusing on some kind of bread and butter, nonpartisan issues.
And I like that approach as well. It's better to just work together and collaborate and be an example of that on the highest level in our state. But with that being said, how do you believe her bipartisan approach has shaped Michigan's political landscape right here in our area in Oakland County and specifically Greater West Bloomfield?
Well, I think that when she first ran for governor, she focused on a very nonpartisan issue, which is infrastructure and getting roads fixed up. And I think people can see orange cones everywhere. And so that's part of her work and part of also the federal investment in infrastructure. And I think she wants to continue that by focusing more on the local and county roads that didn't receive the funding that she wanted that's gone to the state roads. So people are seeing the progress on that issue, but there's also more work to do.
Yeah, of course, a lot more work, and there'll continue to be more work to do as we continue to grow and new things continue to advance in our local economy. Now, let's move on to one of the topics she discussed, which is housing. She discussed a very significant historic investment in housing in general. So how do you feel like this housing investment can and will affect our local community right here in Greater West Bloomfield when it comes to affordability and development?
Well, housing has been a tough nut to crack across the entire country, and I think that she did mention in the past Michigan has done things to try to make it easier for first-time home buyers and get the demand up or help people, have some money in the bank for doing that. But the real issue is supply, which she admitted. And there weren't very many details really about how that supply is going to increase, but that's definitely where the focus needs to be.
Yes, and I know she also emphasized kind of speeding up the process to getting permits and helping developers, even from out of state, kind of come in and do things to kind of expedite the process to help that out. So we'll see how that lays out. Like you said, not too many details were laid out at the time, but we'll see as time goes. With us right here live on the Splash, Associate Professor from the Political Science Department at Oakland University, Nicole Matthew, giving reactions to Governor Whitmer's 7th State of the State address yesterday on Wednesday, February 26th. Another topic she discussed, job creation, workforce development, obviously on a statewide scale, but bringing it back local. How can West Bloomfield and other local communities make sure that we benefit from these type of initiatives?
Well, one thing that she specifically mentioned is doing more outreach to young men to connect with local community colleges, and Oakland County has some fantastic community colleges. And she mentioned that women are more likely to have taken up that program than men. And so it's a little kind of surprising. That was the second time she mentioned really outreaching to young men in her speech. So that was kind of interesting. We'll see how that plays out in this area.
Yes, and it was very, very interesting. I mean, for people who haven't been keeping up on some of those stats, yes, I've personally known of those stats of women excelling or attending more in colleges, universities, and enrolling in these programs, and even in housing, being homeowners, like obviously obtaining home ownership at a much faster rate than young men. So I paid attention to her consideration to that, obviously, as a young man myself. She also acknowledged concerns over inflation, something that we cannot ignore anywhere in this country right now, and economic pressures just in general. How do you feel her proposals might mitigate some of these issues for our residents right here in our area?
Well, it's pretty hard as the governor of a state to influence inflation because a lot of that is really related to interest rates, related to overall spending patterns for the government, federal government. One thing she did come out very strongly against was the tariffs the proposed 25% tariffs on Canada. And if she could succeed in convincing Donald Trump to permanently delay those, that could have a big impact on keeping inflation down.
Yes, yes. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe there was just some news saying that they are made to be enforced, kicking in on March 4th, if I'm not mistaken, very soon. So we'll continuously keep updates with that. And it was great that she acknowledged that and kind of put that on the forefront, I should say, or something for us to keep our minds on. She also mentioned the cell phone and the vape regulations, something that's been affecting our schools, something that we've been kind of talking about as you know, students and parents in the community. What impact do you believe those proposed restrictions on cell phones in schools and that vape taxation could have on students and families right here in West Bloomfield?
Well, with regard to vape taxation, we know that young people are a lot more sensitive to prices than older folks, and it was shown that increasing taxes on cigarettes actually had an impact on reducing youth smoking rates. So there's potential for that. It might be difficult with a Republican House to propose new taxes, but I think the way she framed it is she's going to equalize the taxes that are already on cigarette products and apply them to vape products as well. So she's not trying to sell it as a new tax, but kind of as an expansion of what categories are taxed.
Right.
So it's possible that could help it get through this Republican state house. And the cell phone policy is very interesting. Other states have tried to tackle that. It's a very difficult issue because parents, on the one hand, are concerned about screen time for their kids, but they also like to be able to text their kids. There's a concern with school shootings that if the kids don't have their cell phones, they won't be able to get in touch with their parents. So the devil's in the details with that, about how that policy actually gets implemented. I think a lot of people like the idea of it, but we'll see when it comes to the details what happens.
Yeah, I know. That's a sticky subject, too. Like, I mean, I can see both sides of it as well. I think overall we need to find a way to integrate it because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So we need to find a way to kind of work with us and not against us, but who knows? Like you said, it's in the details and they'll figure that out. That's above my pay grade. Anything else in regards to the State of the State address you feel like local residents in Greater West Bloomfield and Oakland County should really be aware of before we go?
Well, I think overall we're looking at a greater level of bipartisanship being necessary to get anything done. And that could be something that really spurs a lot of action on kind of non-political issues, but it could also be something that just causes a bunch of gridlock. So it's kind of an open question whether this new year will bring change or whether it'll just be more fighting in Lansing.
Yeah, no, literally only time will tell as time goes on and we go through the year 2025. We want to thank you so much again for your time and your knowledge and information. Once again, Associate Professor from the Political Science Department at Oakland University, Nicole Matthew, thank you again.
Thank you.
Great to kind of break down the address on a state level and see how it affects us right here in our local Greater West Bloomfield area. So we appreciate having local professors that can kind of break things down for us in a local perspective as well. From eggs to everyday essentials, grocery prices are continuing to climb, making it harder for families, even right here in Greater West Bloomfield, to keep up. That's why Civic Center TV's very own Jake Schaff is live, taking us to a local grocery store where shoppers share their concerns about rising costs and how they're adjusting to these changes. Jake, how you doing?
Great, Kevin, and you are absolutely right. I'm standing here live outside of a local Kroger right off of Orchard Lake Road, where residents from all across the Greater West Bloomfield community are feeling the effects of rising grocery prices due to inflation, which might make trips to local grocery stores like this one a bit more of a challenge. One shopper, Dr. Joseph Barinholtz, commented his thoughts on witnessing these prices continue to skyrocket.
Well, it's been stunning. In the last 4 years, I've watched prices double as it relates to food, energy, and it's difficult to go shopping. I'm fortunate enough to afford most things in a grocery store, but I still tone back my purchases because of the prices that have escalated, specifically dairy products, poultry, meat. And it makes me just wonder how everyone's getting along with these prices rising the way they are.
It's something we've seen all across the United States, not just here in West Bloomfield, as several common food items are now a lot more expensive than they may have been just a few weeks ago, especially when it comes to eggs. Egg prices have increased by 53% in the month of January alone, and the average price of a dozen eggs is now at a record high of $4.95. My goodness. Charles Collins from West Bloomfield talked about what he's thought about the grocery prices rising and his concerns for the community.
Well, yeah, everything, but especially the eggs are really outrageous. But, you know, everything you buy now, every time, just like the bananas I bought. Last week they were 69 cents a pound. Today they're 79 cents a pound. I'm really feeling for the people that's less fortunate, that's struggling a little bit more than I am.
Despite the price rises, there are always ways to cut back on spending, and that's by exploring some alternate shopping options, as Joseph Barinholtz explained to me.
There are farmers, there are places like Pure Pasture where you can go and buy organic meats at half the cost that you would normally pay at a large chain. Look for, in the summertime especially, go to farmers markets. Prices are much more amenable to people's budgets. But that's the best we can do until things are going to get sorted out, which I suspect will happen in the next year or two.
Lots of valuable shopping options all across the Greater West Bloomfield community. Hopefully these prices will start to drop in the coming months, but until then, it's going to be a little tighter on the wallets as you make these trips to grocery stores. Back to you, Kevin.
Thank you again for that story, Jay. Local reactions from real residents right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area, just talking about how we are dealing with prices. And with prices soaring, many in our community are looking for ways to save, including turning to farmers market and alternative shopping options. We'll continuously keep you updated with local resident reactions and news regarding the soaring prices for goods in Greater West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield High School and Orchard Lake St. Mary's boys basketball is set for a district finals showdown. It all comes down to Friday night. West Bloomfield High School and defending champion Orchard Lake St. Mary's both punched their tickets to the District 25 finals with big wins on Wednesday. The Lakers edged out Walled Lake Central 56-54, while the Eaglets dominated White Lake Lakeland, 75-22. Now it's a high-stakes rematch of last year's district finals, where St. Mary's ultimately claimed the title. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. at West Bloomfield High School, and the winner will move on to the regional semifinals at Rochester Adams on Tuesday to face either Davidson or Grand Blanc. Congratulations to both teams as they fight for a district championship. Congratulations on that. New railroad routes are proposed by MDOT, and Greater West Bloomfield has some historical ties to railroads that connect to the Metro Detroit area. A new passenger rail route connecting Detroit, Windsor, and Toronto is being discussed, with possible implementations between 2028 and 2029. We just recently had an opportunity to sit and talk with historian of Passways Incorporated, Brian Golden, to talk a little bit about how Greater West Bloomfield ties in to these railway historic stories.
Pleasure, Calvin.
We appreciate you bringing your knowledge, your information, and your history with us here today. I want to dive a little bit more into this interurban trolley and Detroit United Railway. Can you just speak on this briefly from the perspective of how the Detroit United Railway and interurban trolley system shaped the growth and development of Metro Detroit communities like West Bloomfield?
Oh, no, that's an easy one for me. You see, back over 100 years ago, there were Native American trails that crisscrossed this entire area. Now, farmers that purchased, or settlers purchased land in these areas, used those Native American trails as a means to get from one place to another. Mm-hmm. Now, those Native American trails kind of grew into roadways. Those roadways were dirt paths. And unfortunately, when you add one component to those dirt paths, mm-hmm. water, you get a muddy mess. So a lot of the roads that existed 200 years ago right. were impassable, especially in the springtime when there was nothing but mud and dirt all over. So somebody came up with a brilliant idea, and that is, why not let's put railroad tracks in or near the road and use some sort of a conveyance that rides those rails, so you're not dependent on the quality of the roads. You couldn't just run the tracks in the roads without gaining some kind of permission. So what municipalities did back then was to issue a franchise to the interurban company. Now, franchises are used today. Guess what? Cable companies. Cable companies use the public right-of-way, and they pay municipalities for the use of that public right-of-way. Well, that concept started way back when the inception of an interurban system started. So there were several people vying to run the interurban line from downtown Detroit all the way to Pontiac. That was critical back then, right? Because Pontiac was not only the county seat, but it was a manufacturing hub. It was also a higher learning institutions were located in Pontiac. So there were several different people vying for the right to be able to run the tracks out Woodward Avenue. Well, there was a father-son combination that got the franchise. They were awarded the franchise, mm-hmm. and unfortunately, other people that were left out. Well, there were two industrious fellows who happened to be brother-in-laws, they wanted to find an alternate route to Pontiac. And what they found was there was already an existing electric railway system that ran out from Grand River all the way to a community that back then was called Sand Hill. Today, that community is called Redford. And so they kind of hooked onto that rail and ran it all the way to downtown Farmington. Now, before it got to downtown Farmington, it branched off. It's called a junction, where when track comes together or splits apart, it's called a junction. There was a junction at Orchard Lake Road and Grand River. Today, there's an old historic building at the foot of Orchard Lake Road. Today, it's known as the Winery.
Right.
But what it was the powerhouse for the interurban system.
Okay.
And it produced enough electricity to get the trolley to go up Orchard Lake Road through Farmington Township into West Bloomfield Township.
Nice.
Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, and there was an existing system in Sylvan Lake, as you may have already mentioned,
right,
called Sylvan Lake and Pontiac and Sylvan Lake Railway.
Right.
Well,
okay.
That railway system was a means for them to connect to that system that already went into Pontiac. So they had an alt route to Pontiac. They claim that you could actually get to Pontiac faster by going out Grand River to Orchard Lake Road. I'm here to tell you it was about a 70-minute ride on the from downtown Detroit. Well, if traffic is as bad as it is in a lot of times in rush hour,
right,
it'll take you
about
an hour.
the same about time. Yeah, I get it.
To get from downtown.
Right, right. So sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, please.
Right. No, I was going to say this. So this was the opportunity for it to service a totally underserved area, which was West Bloomfield Township.
Right. All right. Okay. Nice. I see how you brought that together. I love that. Gave us a full scope on the railway systems and an interurban trolley, like we just talked about, which is an archaic word at this point. With me right here live on The Splash, historian from Pastways Inc., Brian Golden, talking about the discussions for a new passenger rail route connecting Detroit, Windsor, and Toronto, and West Bloomfield's historical history, I should say, to railways as well, connecting to Detroit. Now, I want to just kind of go over real briefly some of those aspects of the railway. Can you just talk about some of the most fascinating aspects of the West Bloomfield's early railway system that people may not even know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is kind of an interesting thing. Right at, of course, today it's a rails to trails, the heavy rail. It crosses over Orchard Lake Road a couple of times. The old Michigan Airline Railway system, which was part of Grand Trunk. So on the screen, you see that bridge.
Yes.
Well, that was a bone of contention. Because the interurban company, the track that you see underneath the bridge is heavy rail. It was locomotives and railroad cars. You see the bridge above, and you see the trolley over that bridge. Well, at first, the interurban company wanted to actually run across the heavy rail. And the railroad commissioner at that time said, no way, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
You can't run trolley track and light rail and heavy rail on the same grade.
Right.
You either have to build a tunnel and go underneath, or you have to build a bridge and go over. So the picture that you just put up on the screen is a picture of the bridge that they put in, and unfortunately, putting in that bridge almost broke the bank for the interurban company.
Wow.
that actually did that. Now, there's still evidence of that bridge, and that is the earthen mound. As you're looking at the picture on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a earthen ramp that elevates the trolley track 20 feet above the heavy rail. Well, today, if you walk that path, the earthen ramp, or the high side of the earth, is actually still there. That's because Detroit Edison, years later, put a high tension pole right on that hill. So that hill's not going anywhere. It's still there. Now, this bridge was located just south of St. Mary's. So if you walk that path, and many of your viewers, I'm sure, walk the Rails to Trails path, as you get closer and closer to Seminary Street, you will see that the dirt on the right-hand side as you're going north is higher than on the left-hand side of the road. So that evidence is still there. A lot of people don't have a clue.
Right, and that's so nice that you gave us that piece of information. Now people who do go around that area, they can actually spot that out and make the connection to history right now. And for our listeners on 89.3 Lakes FM, watch us on CivicCenterTV.com so that you can get the complete aspect and a complete perspective with the visuals that we just provided. And with me right here live on the Splash from Pastways Inc., historian Mr. Brian Golden, once again talking about the new passenger rail route connecting Detroit, Windsor, and Toronto that's being discussed with a possible implementation between 2028 and 2029. With that being said, I just want to ask you about that real quick. How do you see that proposed Detroit, Windsor, Toronto rail line influencing communities in Metro Detroit like Greater West Bloomfield?
Oh, absolutely. I think it would be a tremendous opportunity to get people, goods, and services from the Detroit area into Canada, going through Windsor and finding its terminus all the way in Toronto. It's such a tremendous endeavor, and rail travel is very popular in Europe. It's very popular in the Far East. So I can't help but think how that would impact the Detroit area for both work, services, and goods going back and forth between these major hubs.
Correct. Yeah, and I would love that as someone who likes to go to Canada every now and then, and I kind of hate the drive. I would love the opportunity to just hop on a train, get there as quick as I can, and possibly even visit more than one city in Canada as well. I think it'll be a great connection right there. Don't have too much time, Mr. Golden, but I do want to ask you this last question. That's in regards to the West Bloomfield Railway history. If you could preserve or restore one aspect of West Bloomfield's railway history, what would it be and why?
Oh gosh, that's a terrific question. If it still existed, if the rails were still there and allowed people to not only come up from Detroit all the way into West Bloomfield Township and go even further, and go from West Bloomfield Township all the way into Pontiac, that would change the socioeconomic face of all of Southeast Michigan, bringing people to jobs and bringing jobs to people.
and goods and services as well. I completely
You got
agree
it.
with that. It makes the entire community grow economically, socially, culturally, and it ties into our history as well. I want to thank you so much again for that information, for that history, and more importantly, for your time. Once again, from Pastways Inc., historian Brian Golden, thank you again, sir.
My pleasure, and have a great afternoon.
Great information talking about local history in railways and how railways played a key role in shaping Greater West Bloomfield, impacting commerce, transportation, and just overall suburban growth. So great lesson we learned from Mr. Golden. We have more information that we're going to talk about. We talked about the prices of food going up, but what about the ingredients in food changing overall? We'll discuss that coming up. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent of West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
What people are watching in West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for today, Kevin McIntosh. Going into a story talking about the FDA, which has ordered food and drug manufacturers to essentially remove red dye number 3 from all of their products by January 15th, 2027. So how will this affect our grocery shopping, our shopping in general, and will this make the price of our goods go up even more? We recently spoke with registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, Haley Saperstein, to tell us a little bit more how this will affect our local economy.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here first and foremost because this sparked my own curiosity, and I want to kind of get into it. Your initial thoughts on the FDA's decision to ban this red dye number 3.
I think it's fantastic. Definitely a step in the right direction. If I can give you a little bit of history, there's something called the Delaney Clause that was effective in 1958, and it was it's part of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. And they it was a clause to say that food additives, if they cause cancer in rats or humans, they must be banned. But in the 1980s, they started studying red dye number 3, and they found that it caused thyroid cancer in rats. And so since the 1990s, they've actually been trying to ban it in food. And actually, before they banned it in food, they banned it in makeup. So I found that to be quite interesting, like in lipsticks and things, because they found that wouldn't be safe, but yet it was still in our food. So there's a lot of yeah, it's crazy. So there's all these watchdog organizations. One is called CSPI, the Center of Science and Public Interest. They've been fighting for years. And finally, it is a priority in the federal government to ban it. So I think it's great for consumer protection and consumer safety, as we've found that can cause thyroid cancer in rats, and it does cause neurobehavioral issues in people.
First and foremost, thank you for that history lesson. A lot of information that I wasn't privy to, but I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience wasn't privy to as well. With that being said, there's a lot of things that we may or may not know about what's in our food and the things that we consume. So with that being said, how can parents of West Bloomfield be more aware of some of these harmful food additives to make healthier choices for our families?
Great question. First of all, you want to pay attention, stay informed, read the news. It's all over, and try to make better choices. Try always buy fresh food over processed. So always, when you're shopping, shop the perimeters of the grocery store because you're going to find the fresh food. We always say, as children especially, eat a rainbow. Eat all different colors, and you can make your plate vibrant. When your kids come home from school, instead of putting out a processed snack, you could put out fresh fruit. You could put out fresh vegetables. Make it fun. Put dips out there. Like I said, eat a rainbow. Number two, you could read labels. When you're, to stay informed, look at the back of packages. After I did my recent article for Henry Ford on food dyes, we actually started looking through our labels in our pantry and found there's a lot of hidden food dyes. So you have to definitely, be proactive and look at things. Be creative, find things that you can color your baked goods with. You can use berries, you can use nuts, you can use different things that are going to add color without adding additives. Or unnatural. There's also natural food coloring you can buy. So if you're making cakes and cookies, you can find natural food dyes just where you'd find your regular food coloring in the baking section, and you can use those. They use turmeric and they use beet juice and things like that to color things. And then also stay informed by looking at different websites. There's one called safemama.com, and on that website, there's a list of food dye-free snacks. So that way you can try to stock up your pantry and, with those healthier things and go from there.
It makes sense. But
Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue, please.
Oh, no, you're fine. You go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, but essentially what I was saying, I just want to bring up what you just said. When you look into your own cabinet, and once you're conscious of these things, you'll start to notice these type of things are in a lot of our different foods and drinks, and like you even said, lipsticks and things of that nature. So what are some of the biggest challenges families will face when trying to transition to this dye-free or additive-free food options?
So the biggest challenge, I think cost may be a challenge.
Yep.
So if you, just to keep in perspective, there's over 3,000 foods that contain red dye number 3. So you have to kind of look through the others, and so so the challenge could be it's increased production costs to not use this red dye number 3, which actually comes from petroleum. And there's a decreased demand, so at this time, we don't have as many products out there that are without, these dangerous food dyes, but so the cost might be higher. Food additives also keep our foods fresh longer. Not the food dyes in particular, but just food additives in general. They can slow the microbial activity and slow a chemical reaction. So foods might not stay fresh as long if they don't have additives in them. And also, the food might look different to your kids because they're used to having colorful M&Ms and Skittles and things like that. And so just educating our children on, why we're making this change, and hopefully they'll buy into it.
No, I understand that too, especially when you spoke on food looking different, possibly even tasting a little bit different, lasting a little bit different. Once we remove the dyes and the additives, we're looking at completely different food for the most part. But I want to kind of speak on that to a certain angle. With us right here live on The Splash, registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, Hallie Saperstein, talking about the FDA removing red dye number 3, or I should say banning it, and requiring manufacturers to remove it from their products by January 15th, 2027. Now, one thing I want to speak on is the United States compared to other countries when it comes to our food. How does the U.S. compare to other countries when it comes to food safety regulations, and what lessons can we learn from them?
So that's a good question. We actually, we compare favorably, number one. I found that really interesting during my research. In 2022, we actually ranked 13th out of 113 countries on their Global Security Index for food safety. But what we're behind in is the food additives. So food dyes and things like that. Like, for instance, in the European countries, they've actually banned red 40, the yellow dyes, and the blue dyes, and they're actually in the process of banning green dyes. But here we're just starting out and we're banning red number 3. So we are just in the step, we're going in the right direction, but it's definitely going to take time to make all the changes.
Yes, and from my research that I'm looking here, if I'm not mistaken, in September 2023, California became the first U.S. state to ban 6 synthetic food dyes, including red 3 and red 40 as well, for some of those risks that we were talking about. But now this is more of an entire country thing, with the FDA doing it as well. Yeah. So, and me going to different countries before, I've experienced different fruits and vegetables that look a little bit different and taste a little bit different, but now kind of putting it into context, it's because different food and safety regulations from different countries and governments. So thank you for also providing that. Also, are there any natural alternatives that exist for food coloring? And can you just explain how people can incorporate them into their diets?
Yes, so there's definitely natural food dyes that we can use So if you're baking, the easiest one is if you go to the grocery store, there's right next to the unnatural food dyes, there are natural food dye packages. Now, they might be a bit more expensive, but they're using turmeric extract, carrot extract, spirulina for green, berries for purple. They use beet juice and vegetable juice for these dyes. And the other thing is, you don't really need the dye. You can just make your things look more pretty. Like if you're making a cake, for instance, instead of using a colorful dye, you could just throw a bunch of berries on top and make it beautiful. So.
That sounds good. I'm getting hungry now.
Doesn't it? I know, it sounds much better than food dye.
But here's what I really want to get at, right? With this ban happening in less than 2 years now, obviously it's going to affect food manufacturers, but on a local level, it's going to affect grocery stores and the food that they supply. So how do you think this ban will impact local grocery shopping and product availability in our greater West Bloomfield area?
So I think the products are going to, start. I think there's going to be more products, that are going to be out there as time goes on. Again, I want, I think I recommended using different websites to sort of see what's out there. There's already products on the market, like Goldfish crackers. They use natural food dyes, which is amazing. They've been doing that for quite some time. So I really don't anticipate too many bumps in the road. I actually see some of the grocery stores even promoting these products because they know that we're trying to make our foods healthier and we're trying to keep, our consumers healthy. So I think they're going to start, maybe highlighting them and end caps at grocery stores, especially the local grocery stores. I find that, people here are very health conscious in West Bloomfield. So I see it as being a benefit. But like I said, there are 3,000 products with this red dye number 3, and there's probably a third that don't have that dye. So it's just going to take some time to kind of move them off the shelves. But like you had said too, we have till January 15th of 2027.
Correct. A lot of good key information that you're giving us right here, and don't want to hold you up too much longer. Any additional information that we should know about in regards to these food additives or dyes, or just anything in general with the food that we consume?
Yeah, just be mindful. Start reading labels. Start seeing what's in products. I mean, things as simple as like brownie mix has all these different additives. And so, trying to start to look at different recipes that you can make with your family, and it's also fun, that are not using all these additives, not using processed foods. Like I said, using, shopping the perimeters, because you want to avoid a lot of different things, not only just food dyes, but like high fructose corn syrup, MSG, brominated vegetable oil, which they find in sports drinks. They're just crazy. They put all these things in that have been found to cause cancer, or some cause heart disease, like trans fats. And so we just want to make consumers more aware and try to, and like I said, there's so many resources at our fingertips with the web, with the internet. You can kind of shop before you actually enter the grocery store. Right. So just kind of use your resources and make good choices.
I like that you brought up the fact of reading our ingredients. I think it's a whole nother topic to get into, how to read some of these food labels, some of the words and the nutritional facts on there. That's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we'll have you back on to talk about that. But we appreciate your time and information. Once again, registered dietitian from Henry Ford Health, Hallie Saperstein. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Great information to keep in mind as we are continuously seeing the rise in prices for our goods and groceries. And another thing that could affect it, with red dye 3 being officially banned from the FDA from food and drug manufacturers by January 15, 2027. We'll continuously keep you updated right here on Civic Center TV. The West Bloomfield Police Foundation has been supporting officers and community members since 2001. And beyond assisting officers in the line of duty, the foundation provides emotional and financial aid to their families as well. And the Police Foundation actually has an event coming up that you should support. So with me right here live on The Splash, President of the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, Mike Shabisti. Thank you for being here, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
So first and foremost, let's get into this event that we're expecting, right? Real briefly, give us the who, what, where, when, why of the Global event we're talking about.
Our Global event has turned into, right now, our highest grossing donating event of the year. So March 1st, 2025, Wonderland Lanes, right there in Commerce Township, Richardson Road, in between Union Lake and Haggerty Road. 12:30 to 4, we bring in approximately 150 to 160 people from the police department, our local fire department, local parks and rec, town hall, and then the community at large, where we come together and we help raise funds not only for injured or fallen officers of West Bloomfield Police Department, but also other local police departments and the greater West Bloomfield community.
Well said. Thank you for giving us that information. 150 to 200 people sounds like a great, significant amount of people. With that being said, can you continuously kind of build on that and just talk about the importance of the community supporting our local police foundation through events like this?
Absolutely. So this event couldn't go on without the support of the community. We don't have 150 police officers to simply put this event on. So the support from the community is amazing. The outpouring of, love that our community does have for us and we have for our community is incredibly beneficial to being able to make this go on. It is done under the kind of the neon lights or the global effect that Wonderland Lanes has, which everybody loves to be able to bowl in, gives them something, unique, different, special, and just kind of makes it very fun. We have kids all the way from 1 year-old, all the way up to, we have people in their 70s that have been coming year after year to come out, help support us. And, everybody always has a good time, always a good couple laughs. And always good to see those familiar faces, given the fact that it's, late February, early March, everybody's tired of winter. They want to get out, they want to be moving around. And we're happy that we're able to put on this event, not only for the community, but also to help the Police Foundation.
Exactly. Like you said, which is why, 150 to 200 people attending. It's not just all police officers. It's their families, their friends, community leaders, and business leaders all coming together to support our local police foundation. So sounds like a great event, great time, glow neon lights. How can you go wrong with bowling and some good food and good company as well? I want you to break down the importance of the Police Foundation from the perspective of what you all do. With that being said, can you just explain some of the most impactful ways that the foundation has supported officers and their families over the years?
Absolutely. So we are there for times of need, not only emotional, but financial and whatever collective burdens families may have. Oftentimes, these families don't know they are going to experience these issues until they arise. And all of a sudden, they are confronted with this problem that they need some assistance with, be it people, be it financially, whatever that may be. So we are there to be able to assist in whatever means necessary. Recently, there was a local police officer. His wife was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer. The treatment that she has to receive is tens of thousands, if not reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Through our generous donors that we've had, we've been able to provide a substantial donation along with the Fraternal Order of Police, the Novi Benevolent Association. We have been able to provide a significant amount of financial assistance to that family to help alleviate those issues. Not only within the police department or local police departments, we are fortunate enough that our donors are so kind that we are able to start giving back to our community. So yearly we do we adopt a family for Christmas where we simply buy, clothing, personal items, kitchen items, anything that a family may need where they may not be in a position financially to afford those for their family. We're able to then step in and provide them and give them a quality Christmas and a time that they're able to remember when they may not be able to do that. In other things that we do within the community, we do blessings in a backpack, Coats for Kids. Okay. We're involved with Relay for Life, the West Bloomfield Coalition, Youth Assistance, West Bloomfield Education Foundation. We do food drives. We're involved with Haven. Just a multitude of different avenues that we are able to support our community and kind of show the support to those that come and they help to show us support as well.
Man, thank you for explaining all of the things that you all do, all of the things that you all get involved with, and the way that you help actual family members and police officers in the line of duty. So well done right there. And with us again, right here live on The Splash, President of the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, Mike Shabisty, talking about the upcoming Glow Bowl event, Saturday, March 1st at Wonderland Bowling and Commerce. I want to talk to you about this. The loss of Sergeant Patrick O'Rourke very affected the community in various ways, but also a defining moment for the Police Foundation as well. So can you just talk about how the loss of Sergeant O'Rourke shaped the mission and the efforts of the foundation moving forward?
Horrific loss to not only our police department, but the community at large, given the situation that happened in the events that unfolded. But from that incident, it did help to kind of bring about the necessity for this foundation, for being able to give back to our fallen officers or our injured officers' families. Sergeant O'Rourke had, 3 beautiful children at that time, and being able to continuously provide year after year love and support to that family to ensure them that Sergeant O'Rourke is still with us every day when we do our jobs, and that family is still with us every day that we are there. And so the foundation really kind of came to fruition and truly flourished kind of after that incident, mostly because of that community support. The community rallied around our police department. They wanted to show their appreciation for us, for Sergeant O'Rourke, and this was a way that we were able to do that by, allowing those, community members to be able to donate to us to ensure that the money that they donate, 100% of that money is going right back out to, not only to his family, but to any family that is in need. We have been, since our inception, a recognized 501c3 nonprofit. 100% of every donation that comes in, tax deductible, and it immediately gets turned around and put back out to the community. And I can say that personally because I look at our books every year. All of our administrative costs and administrative fees are all covered by a private donor. None of your donations go towards any of our administrative costs. It is all going back out, not only to our officers, but to the community.
Man, it means so much what you putting that statement out there and letting everybody know that everything that we do and donate and kind of help out with the foundation goes right back into those that help our community. So well said. Before I let you go, once again, the details of the Glow Bowl event and why people should attend.
Again, 12:30 to 4, Wonderland Lanes there in Commerce Township and between Union Lake and Haggerty Road. We have a multitude of different door prizes you can win. We've got kayaks, big screen TVs. We've got a smoker, air fryer. You name it. We've got probably about 15 or 20 very, very large door prizes that you're able to win. You can stop in, buy one ticket, buy 20 tickets, and you're eligible to, win any prize. Not only is that something that you're able to take home, but you're also able to leave there knowing that, you're supporting a good cause, a good foundation, and not only one that supports the police department, but that community at large.
Absolutely, man. Well said. And once again, we're hoping that the community goes out there and have some fun and support our local police foundation. Once again, President of the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, Mike Shabisty. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that. We're hoping the community goes out to support them at Wonderland Bowling in Commerce Saturday, March 1st, 12:30 to 4 p.m. We'll have more information on that as we continue right here on Civic Center TV. Significant improvements and changes happening at our local library here in West Bloomfield you may or may not have known. From a brand new roof and ceiling to the addition of a comfort room for families. These renovations designed to improve the overall library experience for all visitors. I recently had a chance to stop by to see the progress itself and learn more about these exciting updates.
So with the library ceiling and roof, our main library here is reaching about 25 years old this year. So as to be expected, we've got some changes that we need to make in order to make sure we're preventing leaks and other issues that might close down the building for longer than we expect. So this is preventative maintenance, and we're going through and just updating pieces to make sure the library stays looking fresh.
The biggest thing is this roof has been, original to the rebuilt building in 2000, and we've dealt with leaks for the last couple of years. We've always done like a maintenance program to try and keep it in good shape, but it was just past its prime, and it's, the public doesn't want to see buckets out collecting water, and then we're risking our collection. We have had some leaks on books and things like that over the years, and so we're just trying to get the building all sealed up and safe for the next 25 years.
Beyond infrastructure upgrades, the library is also enhancing visitor experience with new spaces designed for comfort and accessibility. The Reflection Room, funded by a generous donation, is now open for quiet contemplation. And a comfort room is currently under construction to support families and sensory-friendly needs.
The comfort room is a lactation space and a sensory space for families. So we've had a lot of requests over the years from families who want a lactation space, someplace where they can go for mothers who might be pumping or breastfeeding that's a little more private. And so this room is a solution. We've taken a while to try to find a good space that would work for those purposes, like our reflection room, which is newer but more for adults. And this space will be more kid-oriented, a little more private as well.
As the library continues to evolve, these renovations reflect a commitment to serving the community with modern, welcoming spaces. Library leaders say these updates will help create a more inclusive and engaging environment for everyone.
The world's changing so fast, and the things that people expect change as well. Maybe the library is seen as a traditional space. And so like our challenge has been to kind of balance our traditional services, like programming, early literacy, and having collections, but also trying to accommodate like the way that people study. Our meeting rooms are always booked because of that. And I think that's just going to increase more as people go to school remotely and work remotely, and their needs change. So we just have to meet them where they are.
The library renovations are part of an ongoing effort to create a better experience for the community. If you'd like to see the changes yourself, please make some time and stop by the West Bloomfield Township Public Library's main branch to check it out for yourself. And make sure you check us out on all social media as well. We're on Facebook, Civic Center TV 15, Instagram, and Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter X, Civic Center TV, and we're on YouTube, Civic Center TV as well. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.